cause. So yeah, and then they study the growth through time of, I guess, what, how, this is really probably one of the best ways to do this experiment because it's in the field, it's natural environment, it has like natural soil. It's not like an enclosed experiment like in a lab, but this is also probably the most expensive, and you probably get the fewest number of replicates. As you can see, you can count on barely two hands. No, wait, maybe like, I don't know. There's like 12 or something plots here, um, and that's really small for an experiment, especially with this amount of money. If you only have a sample size of 12, you really got to hope for big differences in your, I guess, control versus treatment levels, right? Otherwise, you're just spending a lot of money to get no results. So, so there's other ways to do it. There's lab experiments, right? Like a glass house, where you see this person watching this plant grow. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know anything. And yeah, and then what they do, they plant these plants, and they just pretty much. You can see this isn't even like soil; it's some sort of like medium, right? So it's kind of artificial, but this is good too because then you can really control exactly the soil nutrients and the carbon dioxide levels. But there's no competition, right? It's all individual plants, so different. But I mean, you could get, as you can see, there's much more than 12 replicates here, right? So you can build as many of these as you want. And they all answer kind of the same question in different ways with different conclusions, kind of. Same type of thing, right? Just different thing. You can even do it smaller. You can see this is what's it called? Like a nested type of study where you have like replicates within a sample, right? So you have like replicates within this carbon dioxide level, and then you have replicates within this carbon dioxide level. So you can get pretty complex, even in a very small space. This experiment's much cheaper than that free air CO2 experiment, right? So then there's places like Skyhoops, California. This place would be a lovely place to work. I really enjoy doing this, answering science, working here, right? They do this type of thing. It's kind of like a mix between the free air and the lab, where you still get the sun, you still get the soil. And then you have these. These are, I guess, more warming experiments also, where they put this dome and it actually increases the temperature. But it creates other problems like water condensation. There's not the gas exchange, right? So lots of different ways, lots of different experiments. So part 3, we've made it to part 3, about maybe 2/3 of the way through. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about my research, I guess. I talked a little bit with that tree ring sampling. So I guess for my thesis was pretty, had a lot of different parts to it, but one of the parts was I wanted to do a comparative study of forests in Canada, like a temperate forest, and then a subtropical forest in southern Brazil, which is kind of like, the temperature is about maybe 15 degrees per year. That's the annual average. And then a tropical forest, which the average is about like 29 degrees. Much higher precipitation. In Canada, we have about 800 millimeters of rain per year. In southern Brazil, we can get up to 2,000 millimeters, 2,400 per year. So a lot of really big differences. But so I guess I'll show you just some of the pictures of Canada, some of my research site around Sudbury. Has anybody been up to Sudbury, up to that area? Oh, nice, cool, nice. I'm sure you've seen a lot of deforestation and like.
I was only up there for a few days.
Yeah, I guess like barren land, like maybe it's growing back. Yeah, there's a lot of barren land, a lot of open smelters that. So I guess the smelters, they had like an open pit where they would just like, they deforested the area, and they just like burned all these trees to, I guess, something to do with like purification of nickel and iron up there in the mines. So as you can see, right, like all this area is green, and then you can see all this deforestation. And so I wanted to work in the old growth forest and do like a comparative study. So the area was Wolf Lake, old growth red pine forest up here, and that's what it looks like from one of the views. Really nice place, really beautiful place to work. Really nice place to work. Really nice. You could, yeah, we like snorkeled here. We camped here, and we snorkeled like lots of bears. We saw a lot of black bears up here. It's moose also. So yeah, pretty wild environment, I would say. Pretty nice, really nice place. I don't know. I'm just showing photos now. Yes, Spencer.
You took a lot of photos for 56.
Oh yeah, no, I think. Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know what that 56 is.
I think that's the slide number.
Oh, is it?
No, I don't think.
Yeah, it changes every time.
Oh, okay. All right, that's it. So, yeah, really nice. The soil's not very deep. It's a lot of really shallow soil, and that's why we think there's been tree growth decline, because since the soil is really shallow, that there's not a lot of nutrients in the soil. And it's a hypothesis. We didn't test it, but we hypothesized that it could be nutrient limitation, especially on these it's like the soil is like only that deep, and then there's like a 10-foot, 20-foot pine growing on like this much like topsoil. It's really wild. These are just weather stations showing temperature increasing since 1970. That's it, just to show that it is getting warmer also up here in Ontario. This is just to show that southern species are establishing. This is part of my thesis. We found that southern species with ranges further south, would establish more often in canopy openings, where there was more light, it was a little warmer, and there was less competition. And we kind of contribute, or we show data to support the hypothesis that it could be like an island migration mechanism, where like northward migration actually happens due to like these like opportunities, where in the forest there's like an opening, and then these plants are like okay, and then they move in where it's like a little bit warmer, more sun, and not as much competition, and then through time we think that's how it's moving forward. So and then next, so this was my main site, and then so I did part of my thesis down in Brazil. I actually lived in Porto Alegre in southern Brazil. It's where Ronaldinho is from, actually. And I actually went to the game in 2012 where Ronaldinho came back from Europe, and he went to Rio de Janeiro team, and he didn't come back to Porto Alegre. So everyone was pretty upset, and it was pretty wild experience.
Excuse the interruption, staff and students. Just a couple of announcements to share. First of all, with regards to the lunch hour, it is perfectly fine for our students to go outside now and enjoy the weather outside. It is a little cool, so we need to make sure we're dressed appropriately, and it will continue to be pavement only as our field is quite wet. Also, if those members of the Junior Battle of the Books team, if those students can be dismissed to the office at about 10 to 12, so in about 10 minutes from now, that would be greatly appreciated, so the team can prepare to make their way over to the library. Thank you so much.
Okay. Just a few more slides. My friends, did I show this already? I did. I guess I really like this.
Bragging now.
I really like. Hey, this is Canada, right? So it's not too far away. Yeah, this is like Sudbury. This is near the smelting mine. You can see, right, totally different from that old growth forest I showed you, right? And this is it's like rocks. They really destroyed the topsoil. A lot of heavy metals in the soil. That's the intermediate phase. Oh my gosh. Right, so Brazil. This is me and my research lab partner with our lab vehicle in Brazil, doing our field expedition, right, with the sophisticated technology of the bridges. Oh my gosh, it was a great experience. I really recommend just science, and I mean, you saw with Rick. Rick was able to just do like amazing things, travel, see things, and just like study and learn, and it's great. It's really great, and like I don't know. I think it's great. Got to see some really nice places, some nice waterfalls, right? Like this was in the middle of nowhere in a place called Jalapão. I don't know if you guys know